Welcome to Hort Culture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture. I just snapped my pen.
I heard something.
Sorry
break.
about that. I
was hoping
guess
you were
all
not
stressed
popping
me
your
out more
knuckles.
than I thought.
Yeah, well, job
You're trying to play
accomplished.
it cool.
I'm actually just really strong. I just don't know my own strength.
The rage is strong today. The rage is strong.
I have to take it out on something.
I was. It didn't like explode all over your face or anything. The ink didn't explode
like
all over the face or anything.
No,
disappointing.
It would have been real one. The YouTubers would have gotten a good video right there.
It would have been
on pens
viral.
as a kid, and occasionally they would explode in your mouth. And
oh yeah, been there, done that. Not good. Yeah,
I think that did happen to me one time, but never happened again. So
I don't know. When I was in school, I was a creative pencil chewer. I would like chew patterns into my little wood pencils. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
I had braces, so I think that like knocked out the chewing.
So you would put it in and just sharpen the pencil.
Yeah, your pencil sharpener. Yeah.
I had one like real gray tooth from where the graphite would stick around.
That was really graphic. Yeah, this is my pencil tooth.
That's my sharpening tooth.
This is my sharpening tooth.
From the graphite.
Yeah, this is my graphite
I had
tooth.
something fun to tell you all, but I don't now. Oh, I was gonna ask you all if there was something that you all did over. A lot of us have a break. We are fortunate in Extension to have a nice solid break around the holidays.
Absolutely.
And I was gonna ask, like, what's something that you look forward to? Not necessarily family. Like, I mean, I hope you look forward to your family, but not all of us do sometimes.
In small
but like
doses.
something that maybe is just like just for you and something you look forward to and you usually do over break when you have more time. Do you have something like that?
Yes, I have an idea. Ray, do you have one?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going
to think of something eventually.
To buy, I'm a time filler. I buy time. So Annie, my wife is Polish, of Polish origin, from Pennsylvania. She also has a birthday on December 24th. And so those two things now conspire to, at some point in the time around Christmas time, we will make a very nice particular meal that is like of that origin. And usually we'll have some sort of like a nice fish, whether that be scallops or a bass or some variation on that. And we make pierogies. And we also make sauerkraut and mushrooms, which is another thing that they kind of make on that. So it's this hybrid of like her special home cooked birthday meal, but also like that's a traditional Polish Christmas Eve meal. That's a reinterpretation of traditional Polish. I think the Polish one, according to our modern cultural frames, would be considered a little gross, like canned fish and stuff like that. That's just it's a different vibe. But so that's something I kind of look forward to.
Mine is also food related, and I've probably told you all before, but I am getting hyped and planning. Is my day of nothing, where I just watch my shows with my charcuterie board that is huge, and I eat on it all day, and I make a bunch of like little. Sometimes I bake little things, but it's just like this big, giant charcuterie board. All for me, and it's just that's what I do all day. And then I don't like to call it rotting. I ferment on the couch with a show.
Sounds like you have a bit more purpose, at least with fermenting. Yeah,
it's so great. It's so exciting. I get to buy all the good cheeses, and I usually make something. I don't know, it's really simple, but bake something in the oven and I snuggle with the dogs all day, and I literally do the bare minimum, and it's excellent. Can't wait.
So when do you typically target a before or after Christmas for that?
Yeah, It's post Christmas. It's usually a day that my partner goes back to work, and so that way I don't have to share, but also
Get out of my face, Tyler.
Yeah. Get
but
out.
also so
These are
that
my
I don't.
Cheetos.
If he works from home that day, I will make a little extra of everything, so he has one on his desk. But like
Very
the
nice of you.
office door gets closed, and I am in my own little space out in the living room, and I don't fold laundry while I watch TV. I do nothing. And I'm just in my sweatpants. Put on my cute little sweatpants. I do have a onesie that has tacos all over it. I think I wore that last year, so it's pretty.
We swung by Bucky's recently, and they had Bucky's onesies, and I was not tempted, but I feel like I know people who would be tempted, which is great. Great for them.
There's obviously a market for those things, Brett.
The onesie thing makes me feel a little claustrophobic. Like the idea of wearing it makes me feel a little claustrophobic.
Yeah, like if I were to have an emergency, it would be a really an emergency in a onesie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I'm a girl and rompers are a thing, so
No problem.
I think it for me. It's like a deeper psychological problem. Like when I was a kid, and even to this day, I can't really wear mittens because I don't like the idea that my like fingers are pressed together. I can like do it okay now, but when I was a kid, I like could not. I had to be straight gloves or nothing. No
So,
mittens.
are all
Similar
your
feeling.
socks toe socks? Now I need to know.
Well, ironically, several of my toes are webbed. So,
My brother has webbed toes.
Yeah. So anyway, that's enough about me and
ironically.
So how do we start talking about webbed toes? How do we get here? How do we get here?
Ray, were you able to think of? Yeah.
It's usually I will. It's always post Christmas because the holidays are very very busy, and it's really a time to just decompress. After that, I'll usually do a walk towards the end of the year just before the beginning of the new year. I'll go, try to go for a hike or do a little distance in the woods and kind of get away from everything. That's kind of my post traumatic therapy of just being around everybody and being overstimulated, which I love. I love all that. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, I usually try to get into the woods over a break, which I've not been really good about that here lately, but I do enjoy that, just some quiet time, and it's kind of indulgent, but that's what I enjoy doing. In addition to catching up on Alexis, all of my favorite shows. And sometimes it's just hard having a day without an agenda. It's kind of how I'm wired. And I get called out on that sometimes because I do have to-do list even during break, but I make it a point to just enjoy our little family time with our wife and the kiddo, and it's kind of just we kind of come together and quiet time, and I do like to take that hike too.
I think that's it. It's that lack of to-do lists as people who constantly have one, and there's always something to do, and it's just like giving yourself permission to not do it. Like it doesn't matter if it needs done. Today is my day. I'm not doing it.
And there's always cheeses involved with me.
Exactly. And then you pair that with cheese. I mean, hello. This is Alexis's dream.
Like Brett had a look on his face like,
what? I will just speak up as someone who does not have a compulsive to-do list.
I'm a list maker, man.
That I am the light in me bows to the light in you, but like that's just a different vibe. Like the idea of just sitting and doing nothing is a very common thing that I do.
And I think
I do it, wonderful. But I feel guilty about it.
It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, like I just do it, man. I'm really good at doing nothing.
But Brett, here's the thing. See, I want a feeling of accomplishment, so my to-do list sometimes is very short. So I can accomplish it in 15 to 30 seconds and give myself the rest of the day. See, I want both.
On the to-do list, make to-do list. And it's just this loop that just is.
Yeah, it's a snake eating itself.
An affirmative loop.
Yes, it's just a self-affirmation. It's like, darn it, I'm good enough. Yeah, no, that's that kind of thing. But
my to-do list is don't do anything.
Yeah, there you go.
Accomplished.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine one thing that might be on the to-do list for you all when you're chilling out this time of year might be perusing some of the seed catalogs and various new varieties of fun flowers and plants and other things that might be coming up. Um,
I'm getting
Absolutely.
all the
Oh
magazines
gosh, the
already.
catalogs.
Yeah,
I think they
catalogs.
lace the pages with something because when my fingers touch garden catalogs, my pupils dilate. I'm like, "What is happening? What is happening? What is happening?" Have always said that. I said, "What are they lacing this print with? It's not soy-based ink. I don't know what it
Drugs.
is." Yeah, but, I do start to get excited, Brett, this time of year when, they know just the timing to just and yes, I do love getting that's the few magazines and catalogs that I love to get in the mail still, is good, colorful catalogs of plant
Mhm.
things,
well,
seed things and plant things.
when I was but a boy, I didn't really grow up in a family that did a lot of gardening. I mean, we did some. People had houseplants and stuff, but I always thought of the time of year to think about gardening and planting is like
Mhm.
April, It's like maybe Easter is like, okay, it's time to get some seeds, time to get some stuff. And what I've come to realize as I've hung around with, I don't know, choose you could choose your Mad Lib, but psychos like you all, cool people like you all,
Aficionado, psychos,
April, the
Lymon,
idea of April,
Experts,
experts,
geniuses.
experts in the field.
acolytes, whatever.
April might be a little late in the game to be thinking about some of
April
this
stresses me out.
stuff.
First of all, Brett, it's never too late to be thinking about these
Yeah,
things,
it's
but it is
yeah.
too late technically
One
sometimes.
year's too late is another year's just early, or a little early.
It's all in perspective. That's right. Yeah, timing is. I mean, I tell garden groups when we're doing presentations and stuff, and just meeting with community groups. I'm like, more than anything, to me, gardening is math. You're always doing math.
Mhm.
You're either you're looking ahead, whether or not you're dealing with a transplant or a seed. But gardening is kind of math to me. It's counting
Mhm.
days and counting degrees and all of that. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And
I think
that's where I
that's one of the
start.
big reasons they, like, do your, in horticulture, we do, like, the weeks of the year is usually what we go with, say, like, delivery, for your plugs is week, 22 in the year, and so, like, my calendars that I have set up have the little weeks of the year in them as a reminder, and
So
one of
like
the
New
big
Year's,
reasons
the
is
week of New Year's Day is week 1.
week
Mm,
1, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and so, I think part of that, I mean, I'm sure there's multiple reasons, but a big one is easier math. Because if you know you need something in week 20
yeah.
and you know that it's gonna take, 10 weeks to get there, then you need to start it in week 10, So I think that a lot of that helps versus saying, "Okay, if I want something by March 8th and I gotta backtrack it," and, counting and stuff,
Yeah.
so I swear that's one of the reasons, but yeah, do you guys wanna, like, talk about sort of the calendar of ordering or thinking about, some of the things that we do in, gardening or even kind of commercial production. Does that sound
Yeah, because
So
the 2
good?
are kinda different, right? I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing.
so I just want to take a quick vibe check. Yes, I do want to talk about this.
Okay.
No, I reject your premise. Do you have another
Mm.
podcast
No.
episode
Start
idea?
We're not
again.
doing
Start
this.
again.
So we are recording this as of December 8th. This will come
Mhm.
out mid December ish, mid to late December. So my question for you all is: have you already ordered any seeds, plant materials, etc., for 2025 as of now?
For
Probably a
2026?
Or
question.
for
This is
2026? Yes.
we're
Yes.
behind the game already,
Sorry.
Alexis.
Yeah.
I was like, it's cold
Yes. Ordered,
outside. Yes.
Yeah,
planted. They have died.
this is definitely a
Yes.
question for Alexis on this one.
Yes. Yes, I have. I have stuff that I have already ordered that will come in March. I have already ordered the seeds that I will start in February and March. I ordered those earlier this year. And
And
then
when you
of
say
course
earlier this year, when was the earliest that you ordered something that is for the 2026 growing season, as far as plant material goes?
um trying to, like, backtrack here with myself. For the 2026 growing season, the earliest I ordered was in August.
Okay, so in August of 2025, you ordered something that will be put into the ground some point in 2026, or
Right.
put into a pot or
Yes.
whatever.
The hard part is the tulips always mess me up because you're planting them in a different year than they are blooming in, and so those always throw me off. But yes, something that will be planted in
I
2026.
guess a follow up to that is this, Alexis, and it kind of gets to the heart of the thing is you purchased that in my brain and not even thinking about it, not knowing exactly what you purchased. You purchased it on that date. Are you basing your purchases on just hard-earned experience of scarcity or just knowing you got to plan ahead? Or are you purchasing based on when you want things to immediately come, be shipped, get there to be put in the ground or to be produced at the proper time of year or both?
I think it's probably pr- it's a mix of scarcity, definitely to get certain varieties, but also having things like, so for example, some of the stuff that I ordered in August, I get a better price on it if I order it
Mhm.
certain times of the year. So there's that. If
Oh,
I know I want it and I know I can store it properly. But for example, the earliest things that I'll start that I ordered in August, I'll start in February. So I have some seeds that I'll start in February. It takes a pressure off of me to know that I have. Hey guys, those are corgis. They're really great. Everybody should have
Kind of
some.
scared me.
the delivery guys here from
I
August, they're
live the
like,
life
"Mom,
of a
mom."
little bit of a jump scare all the time.
They keep life lively. Love
Anyways,
it.
yeah, they keep the blood pumping. Everybody's hearts are going there. So, anyways, but plans in February. So it also takes some pressure off of me to know I have what I want when I need it. All I have to do when I'm ready to start it, it's already there, and I'm not forgotten about it. So it's kind of a mix of it. But yeah, scarcity of certain varieties is certainly a big thing in
Yeah.
my world.
Now, when you're placing this order, do they ship right away, or when you're ordering things, can you say, "I want it shipped on this date based on my zone," or whatever?
Depends on what it is. So seeds usually ship pretty quickly, within a month. But like plugs, I ordered some plugs in early November that I won't get until March. So, but they need
Gotcha.
time to grow, and I have to let the greenhouses know that I want these things and things like that. So, it's kind of a mix of stuff.
And I'm guessing
Yeah.
that when you say you're ordering these things, you're probably ordering not from like a super local source like your neighbor. You're not
Hmm.
ordering from local green. You're talking about like
Right.
national type order or
Yeah,
international order
big
sources.
greenhouses.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in
Okay.
other states. Yep.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the interesting things when there was discussions about the tariffs and the implications of the
Mhm.
tariffs for
Yes.
farmers and for cut flower farmers, for instance, or for vegetable
Yeah.
producers, that like there's both this pre-order effect with
Hmm.
a lot of this stuff, and there's also a lag effect with the tariff stuff, and so it's like I don't really know as a grower how it's going to affect me
Yeah.
until 2026 or 2027 in some cases,
Right.
depending on what it was, and
Yep.
it's just an interesting aspect of it. But I think one of the things that I wanted to talk, reasons why I wanted to talk about this, in addition to not growing up in this world, but and having to learn it, is every single year I think to myself, I want to grow garlic this year. I need to order it. And every single year they have been sold out for a while. Of
First
seed
of all,
garlic.
that garlic's an odd one anyways. That's I mean, not odd, but it's at a time we're not thinking about things usually in the Brett. Yeah.
Well, and I
Even
think,
with that.
this is early enough. This is early enough for me to have remembered. Nope, everywhere is
Garlic
sold
is
out.
notorious for that. What is up with that? And I used to have some local sources here in Kentucky, and for whatever reason,
Hmm.
they're no longer producing. And then I suffered from that, Brett. I mean, I've had programs for years on garlic, but the local sources went out, and so I had to order from more national sources.
Yep.
And that hit me. I was like, oh gosh, I did not order early enough because I was out of
Hmm.
tune with the rhythm, apparently. Or I don't know who's growing
Yeah.
garlic, whoever they are, they're growing a lot of it because I couldn't get any that year
Well,
because
I
my
think
local sources went out and I couldn't get them. Yeah.
yeah, and so like that would be a good example of like a first one, and then we can walk through some of the other ones as well. Um, that so garlic, you're generally planting it at some point September ish, August,
Mhm.
September, October, something like that. You're putting
Yeah.
a little bulb, a little clove of garlic in the ground, and then it will grow as if by magic into this little green set of tendrils that will grow up and then grow across the course of the year, and then you will harvest it the following summer, July ish.
Hmm.
All of that sounds great. And it does sound great to me, except for Brett forgets to order these things because, as you were saying, Ray, you don't order it and then they ship it the next day, and then you
Hmm.
order it September 1st, they ship it the next day, and then you put it in at some point when you feel when it feels right. You instead have to order it in like April, May,
Yeah.
June, the latest June. But I usually remember about June 30th, and I'm like, perfect. This'll nope. So you put your order in, and then they wait, and they will ship it to you in December. But if you haven't called dibs with your credit card on the internet, you probably aren't going to be getting any that year. And so that's this lag thing. It's the same way with seeds, right? I mean, you all can speak to it about like if you got your eye on some kind of either a commercial quantity of something or a specialty variety. When
The varieties are the biggest
when's
thing.
too
Yeah.
late? What's the what makes you what date makes you nervous for that?
For seeds,
Mhm.
I think it depends if it's a spring or a fall seed. So like I usually do two seed orders, two seed dates, just to like keep my stocks fresh. So I order once in August, and that August is for my fall planted or very early spring, like that February March seeding dates. And then I'll often order again in January and February, and that will be for my a lot of my summer stuff. And it changes a little bit from year to year, but like I give myself kind of a backup of January, February. But I know that that stuff's not going to be planted till maybe May or June. So, um, but
And
yeah.
also be prepared. It's we're not talking about seeds here, but I'm thinking about specifically another crop, transplants, and that's strawberries. Um,
Mm,
I used to order from a great order source, and half the production area was in Canada and half was in the extreme northern U.S. And I knew exactly when to place my order. But remember, we're working, especially with transplants. It's a little bit different
mhm,
than seeds because these
mhm,
things are dug and shipped fairly quickly to keep them super fresh when they get to the producers. You've done due diligence. You know when you need to order. You place the order, and everything's locked in. Well, this nursery, I don't know, for a good percent, at least 25% of the time, um, would experience like extremely hard, harsh winters when the ground
mhm,
would be frozen. And so, even though you did everything correctly, just remember that if you're ordering things like blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, those things have to be dug. And even though you've done everything correct on your end, there's going to be years where it may not go according to your timeline. Commercial people, I think if you have some experience, you know that. But if you're new to a higher level of production, to commercial production, just be prepared to be flexible on your end. And it's sometimes frustrating for new producers that even though they did everything correctly, those strawberries may arrive 4 weeks later than they should have, depending on where they're dug in the country, depending on what's going on with the weather, how wet or how cold it is. But there's a big difference in seeds, which tends to be harvested ahead of time, a little bit
mhm.
more control. But when you're talking about like root stocks or like I said, strawberries, things like that, whole different ball game. Whole
Same
different
with
ball game.
Mhm.
bulbs, corms, and
Is it?
tubers. So it's like dahlias, tulips,
Is it like
amaryllis.
that
A
also?
lot of those like. So I mean, they are dug most of the time pretty far ahead of
Hmm.
when they're shipped necessarily, but there can be big order or there can be big weather issues that affect it. So like tulips are a
Mhm.
really good example. Tulips are something that we cannot produce on a commercial scale to tulip bulbs in the United States. They're coming from overseas, and there was a lot of they got a lot of rain in their springs over the past few years, and so there was shortages. And so these commercial producers can assume, hey, we've planted this many bulbs, we should get this x amount that we should be able to ship. But then they get them and the quality is not up to standards, or some of them rotted in the fields or whatever it is. So you've got to be flexible when ordering larger quantities, but even smaller quantities sometimes, looking for a substitution, similar color or something like that is very normal, for some of these orders. They just don't, and that's what you want. You want to purchase from a place that has high standards for their quality. And so I'd rather them say like, this just didn't meet the standards, do you want something different or your money back? But you can do everything right and order on time and order
Yeah.
the minimum, the right amounts, and still not get something that you planned for. So
Yeah.
that was really hard on me. I know in my first year,
Yeah.
especially when I'm like ordering commercial quantity, like I'm ordering the minimums, but they're the minimums, they're not like, there's not enough buffer for me. So like if I
Yeah.
didn't have 100 and I needed white and they didn't have any white and I was only ordering 100 to begin with, you can't really sub another white, right? Like there was only really one option for that. And so making that up, that was something I learned pretty early from, again, that commercial scale was, I don't want to say like over ordering for the sake of over ordering, but kind of assuming that you're going to have some failure in that ordering process. And so how are you going to meet your minimums, in
Hmm.
another way? That was a
Yeah.
tough one. The first couple of years, I was like, "Oh, I have half of my order, and I can't. There are no more. I can't just say,
Yeah.
oh, okay, give me more pink because there were no pink. Everybody had already bought them, right? So like that
Yeah.
was a struggle the first couple of
I mean,
Well,
years.
we're dealing with living systems,
yeah.
and it's very weather dependent. I mean, that's tough. That's really
Yeah,
tough.
yeah.
I remember the first time when I was ordering a lot of seeds for trials or whatever. Um, and it first clicked for me that like, so when you order that seed, it didn't come from the seed factory. At
Yeah.
one point, that was literally inside. There are farms that are just growing for seed in order to produce a seed that has that particular characteristic or whatever. And so when you order that tomato seed 8-10 months ago, it was inside of a tomato fruit growing on the vine. And like, just I think that's, again, you all are more plant people from the jump, but for me it was one of those click moments of like, this is speculative. All of this is
Hmm.
projecting ahead. We think based on
Yeah.
this, based on this, based on this, but we have bad weather, we lose stuff to rot, we lose stuff to whatever. Or even just the seeds, they just don't produce as many seeds because the plants aren't as healthy for one reason or another, is a whole other aspect to it as well. So all those caveats aside,
Hmm.
all we can do is our best to plan on. So at this point, we're again in mid-December ish. I can say there are many commercial producers who have placed some seed orders for their spring seed
Hmm.
already. There are some seed suppliers that are already sold out of some variety. Don't panic, but there are some seed companies that are sold out of some varieties of things that are
Hmm.
really popular because there are farms in the country that are buying. They have a contract or sort of like a deal or whatever with a particular company, and that company specifies what varieties they want them to grow, and they need
Hmm.
50,000 of that or a
Yeah.
100,000 of that. And so like that there are levels to this game of seed stuff. But
Or that it's a
so
new variety too that like,
mm,
if I'll use Johnny's as an example just because they're a well-known thing and they do can't speak apparently suddenly. They do a lot of their own breeding there, and so they bred and released some new zinnia varieties. Well, zinnias in Kentucky are not getting planted until let's say mid-May, early to mid-May. But they sold out of that seed, so if you would plant it May 2026, they were sold out of some of those new varieties by August 2025, right? So like you've got these sellouts if they're new varieties and they had a lot of seed, but everybody wanted it, right? And so
mhm.
there's normally I wouldn't buy zinnia seeds early, but they had things I wanted, so I had to buy them early.
Yeah, because in a business situation, you are talking about this nasty little thing called cash flow, where you have to have
Boo.
bought stuff with money that you maybe don't yet have, or take money out of reserves, whatever, to do that. If you're just doing this for fun, you might want to just go ahead and get stuff as early as you possibly can and get on their mailing lists and receive
Mhm.
the updates about when stock is posted and all that kind of stuff. But I think generally speaking, even crazy people like you all, December, January, February seems like a
Mhm.
typical time to order some seeds for like a traditional garden,
Totally.
that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
what about if we kind of move forward into the year, Alexis? What other kind of stuff should we be thinking about?
So if we think about sort of that March or February, March timeline, things have changed a little bit over the past couple years from like a bulb standpoint. We used to say bulbs and corms. So I'm specifically in this case talking about tulips, ranunculus, anemone. I'm the flower person, so that's where my mind goes. But I just wanted to let you know we used to say buy it when it's blooming. And so when your tulips just start to bloom, you should be in your brain thinking, I need to go buy for the next year, right? For my order that'll come in this fall to bloom in the following season. So it was a little bit complicated, but if you remembered, I need to buy it when it's blooming, then you'd be golden. And that's still mostly true, but it's gotten earlier and earlier each year. I think because of the just the amount of people wanting to grow larger quantities, because weather has been not so great. So late February now is when we start looking for those emails that are saying like things are loose, and what they're talking about, and they'll put in some preliminary numbers. So if you're like, I have to have this one color, that's when you're going to order it. You also, in February, March timeline, looking at things like potatoes. You're going to want to start looking at, potatoes is the one I never get early enough. So I just get whatever's left. And I'm like, let's try these fingerlings, or
Yeah.
weird colors
You
or whatever, which is fun. But
you
I
can
never
buy
remembered.
right now, Johnny's as one example. There's a bunch of different ones. They have their seed potato purchasing live now. You can
Yes.
buy,
Yeah.
you know,
You're not going to get
different
them
lots,
till late
and
spring. Right.
they will ship. It says here ships late March to early April. Some of them might ship a little earlier than that, but yeah. So if
Yeah.
you're an early bird, if you want to just knock it out and get it over with, if you cannot wait, if your cabin fever is already set in, it's okay. You can grab that stuff now even.
Yeah.
And have you
A
guys?
spare.
Sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Alexis.
you go ahead.
I was just going to ask to even add another layer of complexity. Sometimes what we deal with locally is you're dealing with two sets of schedules. You are dealing with seeds, so you have to order those and think about getting those in a certain amount of time. But you're also working with custom growers, like a greenhouse, for instance. You may not be growing your own transplants, but you have to purchase and deliver the seeds to the greenhouse. I don't know if any of you guys have ever worked with someone like that, but you have to be careful with those schedules too. And that's mostly applies to commercial producers if you're getting, plants custom grown. A lot of times they say, well, deliver the tomato seeds and then we will grow them. So you're working with
Mhm.
multiple levels of schedules, and you have to work with the greenhouses if you're going to have somebody grow like a special transplant, uh, special variety of a tomato or pepper or whatever.
Mhm.
So you have to get with those people sometimes months and months and months in advance because they have a finite amount of shelf space.
Right.
To put things out. So be very aware of that if you want special things grown and you're not growing them yourselves, you may even have to go even farther out in talking and, getting organized a
Mhm.
space for some local producer to actually grow, the transplants that you're going to be doing. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind too. That's even more lead time. Do you ever get into those scenarios, you guys, Alexis?
Yeah, if you wanna, I'll tell you through my timeline as we kinda go through the months just to kinda keep it, like, a little more structured that way.
Yeah.
I know, like, people listening are probably thinking, "Okay, what do I need to be doing in the
Yeah.
months?"
Lay it
So
out
thinking about, yeah.
chronologically.
So thinking about, again, going back to kinda March, maybe late February. Again, your zone might dictate this a little bit. So if you're saying, "Oh, well, I always order mine in, January." Well, then keep doing what you're doing. That's great. We're
If
just
it's
trying to give
working,
you an
yeah.
idea. If you're like Brett or me, who's always like thinking they're on time but actually are not for ordering some of this stuff. Um, Asparagus, sweet potatoes in that, March, February-ish timeline, depending on your zone, can
And
play.
if you're ordering those, what is it that you're ordering?
You're
Is it
ordering
slips or is it what is the plant? What
sweet
is it a
potatoes are probably,
asparagus seed or
yeah, sweet potatoes would be slips. Potatoes would be quote unquote seed potatoes, but they're chunks of
Potatoes,
tomato.
chunks of tater?
And asparagus is a root,
crown, yeah.
usually uh, not planted. What's the word I'm looking for?
Rooted cutting?
Root.
It's
No,
a
it
crown.
doesn't have soil on it. It's a crown, yeah, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have
Mm.
soil,
Oh,
any
bare
soil
root.
attached to it. Yeah, it's a bare
Yeah.
root. Thank you. I was
Yeah.
like, there's a word. Um,
Very
so you're looking at those again, and also in that timeline, another root type of situation would be your any of your brambles, so like raspberries, blackberries, things like that. You can look into blueberries as well at that timeline, but ordering them early so they're going to come to you when you need them. and dahlias. Dahlias, some people will sell them in the fall. A lot of growers are starting to do that because then they don't have to store them, and then the
Yeah.
storage is on you, which is very smart in a lot of ways. But most people start putting their things online in that February March timeline because they're about done dividing and they kind of know what their stock looks like. So if you're wanting to get some more rare dahlias or large quantities of one, that would usually be your timeline to order. But again, some people have already ordered theirs from various places that are a little more consistent on what they know they'll have. So,
So in the
um,
game of Risk, the term hot potato has been replaced by wet dahlia. Like, who's going to get stuck with the wet
It
dahlia?
doesn't
The
have the
hot
same flow, Brett.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
I mean, we'll
mean,
just
maybe
have
it'll catch on. Maybe it'll
we,
catch on.
we'll see. Wet dahlia sounds gross because they, like potatoes, they're like grody. They smell bad.
Yeah, well, you don't want it. You don't want that. You don't want to get stuck with
Blech.
the wet dahlia because storing it is can be a risky proposition that maybe the
Yeah.
thing won't be viable next year. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like the things I think about in the springtime. Is there anything else you all have ordered in the spring?
Here's an oddball one
Yeah.
that we do have people grow on a very small commercial scale that you want to be ordering probably now that would ship pretty soon is seed ginger and
Mm-hmm.
people are growing that in high tunnels. So ginger basically has this crazy long season, and so
Mm-hmm.
we're able to use high tunnels and supplemental heat and a variety of other things. It's a complicated, can be a complicated thing to grow, but it's also ultra high value for certain markets. And so basically you're trying to get those in and get them started in one way or another very, very soon in order to then grow them in the high tunnel for the majority of the season and then even late so that in the fall you'd be able to harvest them. And you used to have to order ginger like a full year ahead of time. So like you would order
Yeah.
now for spring of 2027. I believe that the seed stock is more available now than it once was. So that's pretty cool. But I don't even know how you would get stuck in that loop of being too early. I guess you would just decide when you were going to buy it and then just put in your order. And then 3 years later, you'd be able to grow some ginger. But
Yeah.
It took me years to get. I was getting the tulip gingers, which is not the edible kind, and it took me years because the only place you could order it in the U.S. opened up on like January 2nd at 8 a.m. And if you weren't there by 8:05, it was gone. And so
you were at the fruit
it
and
was.
vegetable conference. You couldn't buy it.
Yep, I always missed it. So now there's more growers and
Like
it's easier to
Taylor
find.
Swift tickets and seed ginger. Those are
And
the things
ginger
you got to
man.
get in
Yeah.
line
Gotta
for.
hit that time limit.
Cool.
I don't think there's anything else. I mean, like if you were going to, this is kind of along the right lines of what Ray said about like the specialty growing. Like if you were going to order transplants from someone, even not provide the seed, they were probably taking orders now.
Mhm.
Maybe not now, but in January, February ish. Just depending on kind of what scale you're operating at, but you likely would have had conversations already with them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
say we charge forward to
Cool.
beyond
So
this window.
so April, I don't really have anything listed necessarily. April tends to be the time, like go time, like everybody's busy
Yeah,
planting the stuff they ordered, sowing the seeds, like doing all that stuff. So luckily, it's I say this loosely, but looking at it on all the stuff I wrote down, your really busy times when you're doing a lot of that planting, luckily, often doesn't overlap with the ordering type of thing. It
hmm
certainly has in the past, but I think it's a little bit more spread out where you're doing a lot of that ordering when you're not as busy outside, which is really nice. There are a few things that do overlap, but that's really nice. So April, I don't really have anything, which is nice. May goes back to that like garlic. If you want certain varieties of garlic, get in there. Or know where to get it from. This year, I got mine from the Mennonite group, and they had it really late, and it was the variety I wanted, and it was awesome. So because I forgot
that's
to order
great.
mine, so that
Yeah,
was great. But
part of the reason for that too is that the type of garlic that in general that we like to grow here, which is they're hardneck varieties, meaning that they produce scapes. It's not the garlic you get in the grocery store.
yeah,
Because that stuff grows better in other places. So as a result, the seed stock is not there's not as much seed stock because it's not the primary commercial garlic in the United States, and you have farms, small. They're not small farms, but farms that aren't growing hundreds of acres of garlic competing over this limited hard neck seed stock. But yeah, it's just a it's a very peculiar thing, and again, I have a lot of personal regret over
A
the
lot of anxiety
years
there.
of missing the boat.
Years
So
of
yeah, I
missing
would
the
even
garlic
start
boat.
get on that list. You can get an alert for when this item's back in stock, and then just order it. April, May. Do as I say, not as I have done.
Okay, so then moving
Any
into
no flower stuff that you're ordering in May, like May, June-ish?
no, not usually, because you've already ordered your stuff for the fall, a lot of your stuff for the fall, not everything, but a
Mhm.
lot of it, and you're just kind of in go mode. Again, there's going to be those of you in a different zone than me who may say
Sure.
differently. So I'm just mostly talking about, our Kentucky 7, 6,
Mhm.
zones in there. So,
And
um,
July, you're starting to get into when you're going to starting some of your fall seed that
mhm,
you ordered way
yep,
back in January too. So there's
right.
always something to do.
Right. Yeah. And June into July is when I do start thinking about any fall plugs, specifically plug production. Because remember how Ray was saying you're going to get with a greenhouse that's going to grow for you months in advance, right? Because they may have to purchase the seed and then they have to grow the thing and then it has to be shipped to you. So there's, several weeks, depending on what you're growing, worth of time that has to go into you getting these plugs. So I'm usually ordering in June or July for a September plant date. And those are for plug production. They're arriving, I'm putting them immediately into the ground. So those are kind of things. In July, I also start ordering any of my amaryllis or paper whites to be able to get the quantities and the colors that I want. So if you're ordering more than one, usually, or you're ordering more than five, I should say, of amaryllis, then you should start looking at ordering them in around July for them to be delivered in around October to have them for Christmas blooms. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no
And
notes.
Ray called Ray called me and Ray, you wanted to schedule a class doing amaryllis, and it was like
Yeah.
October, and he was like, "Where do you get your amaryllis from?" And I told him all my spots, and he was like, "Okay, there are none." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no, bro."
Yeah, a lot of
You were able
those,
to find some paper whites though, right?
yeah, some
Um,
narcissus,
there's
I
a
was
lot.
able to
Paper
do
whites
that.
are basically a type of daffodil and narcissus,
Yeah.
and so they store really well. They don't rot very easily. There's a bunch of good things that happen for them, so they usually are more readily available. But amaryllis tend to be a little bit more difficult. And then in August,
But before moving on
yeah,
there, I think one thing we have sort of mentioned off and on, and it's different now than it used to be, but for June, July ish is probably when you're gonna want to think about ordering strawberry plugs if you're gonna do
mhm,
fall planted
Yeah.
strawberry
Commercial
production
production.
in like a plasticulture system. However, there is a new emerging disease threat in the strawberry
oof, yeah,
world. Some of that coming maybe from plug suppliers. It's called neopestal. They call it neopest for short because
Neopest.
morons like me can't pronounce it. But talk to your extension agent. Talk to your extension folks have heard of this. It's a disease that causes major problems, and you don't want to get that in your field from a
Mhm,
plug source. But under normal conditions, typically June, July is when you're going to be ordering some of your plugs to
mhm,
then put in September. That's a different
yeah,
timeline from like a matted row installation. But anyway,
yeah, yeah.
August.
Um, so August again is when I start ordering. I do usually my first big bulk seed order, and a lot of that is because I get things cheaper. I also want what I want, and so I don't want to miss out on something when a lot of those newer seeds are released. So there's like a scarcity thing there. But mostly it's I get a discount if I order before the end of August for a lot of places. And I want those seeds if I need to start them super early. I don't want to have to wait on them. So I want them sitting there. And by super early, I usually mean, like January, February. There are some stuff that you can start.
We don't have to go way down this rabbit hole, but
Mhm,
is there a consideration too of like you have within a business context, you
mhm,
have money on hand to buy the stuff
mhm,
in August compared to some other times of year, and or is that not something that I don't because like with the weddings and the deposits and
mhm.
the all the different things, I don't know how that exactly works in your, but
Yeah,
that's a real
so
consideration in the commercial sphere.
yeah, cut flowers, I mean, cash flow is always a thing, but there a lot of the time you're ordering stuff and you may be ordering it when you have lots of cash flow, but you're not going to have them delivered until it's cold and you have less cash flow. So you're going to have to save that money separately anyways, but what order so tulips are a great example. I might be ordering them in February, March. I've got CSA built up money. I'm about to enter cash, right, of spring season. But I'm 99% of the time not paying for them then because we don't know if my tulip order is going to come through. They all might die, right?
So they charge
Um,
you when it officially packs
they
and
charge
ships.
me when it ships, correct.
Got it.
But what I do get is an estimate of how much that's going to cost. And so it
Yeah.
might not include shipping. It definitely didn't include tariffs this year. So
Mhm.
those were additional charges that were unexpected, which did hit farmers hard because we didn't know they were going to be there. But I can say, okay, I need to set back $2,000 for when they're going to ship to me in November or whatever that
Mhm.
timeline is. So that is nice because I have a few months to set that money aside.
Yeah.
Maybe I put another couple dollars back each month for when they ship. Now plugs, depending on who you buy through, are a mix. They may not charge you till they ship. They may charge you up front, and then if things die, they just refund you. It just kind of depends. Um, and I think that does play a little bit into who I order from. So certain times a year, I may order from the place that won't charge me till they ship because I know I'm going to have a little more money in the bank at that time.
Yeah.
I think some of it is personal preference, at least in the flower world. I think vegetables are a little bit more upfront with how quickly they are
Mhm.
charging you. But yeah, I mean, you'll have a small commercial flower grower, small scale, will still put in thousands of dollars worth of orders in February and March that they don't pay for until October and November. And so they kind of say they have time to save that money up, which is nice.
But it's a way
It,
to call dibs on the stock to
Right.
say, okay, I'm locking in a price in essence, even though it's not
Yes.
guaranteed that all of these will ship, and I
Right.
can use it as a projection tool for my business to make sure that okay, I know that I know this is how much my fall planting is going to cost. So this
Mhm.
is how I need to structure pricing or whatever.
yeah, and
Right.
did I hear you say that there is pricing incentive in certain cases
Mhm.
by ordering early? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
some catalogs do it, some don't. I just happen to buy mine from a place that'll give some incentive. So, yeah, and sometimes with like strawberries and garlic, you'll see that. Just again, it just depends um, on who it is. But yeah, so August is your fall early seeds. Also, if you're doing any type of Christmas greenery, which I know is not a plant and it is more on a different edge, but I wanted to throw it in there because anything that is around the Christmas holiday that you may be providing, whether that's you're providing, greenery and wreaths or something like that, you're ordering berries, stuff like that. Order it in August or you might not get it. You probably won't get it, or you definitely won't get it for a good price. They definitely do have a price breakdown after August. So, that's just a little thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is it's August. Why am I ordering for Christmas? So
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of nuances. The more special the specialty crop, the more niche it
yeah.
is, the more you have to kind of get your hands in the dirt and really get personal experience with ordering
Mhm.
small, specialized quantities of things. And I think greenery for me falls into that category where in some cases, you even develop over time a relationship with an order source,
Mhm.
and that also gives you a leg up. But some of those places, the only way to get that information, yeah, they'll send an order form at a certain time of the year. And it's no joke. If they say, please, to get the best selection, order by the end of June, end of July, do that.
Yeah.
Um, especially with smaller production companies,
Mhm.
the more local places, state-based places and stuff, because their quantities truly are limited. It's not marketing hype. You need to get your orders in early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll just mention too, we haven't talked much about the nursery landscape kind of side of things. They operate on, generally speaking, even longer lead times ahead
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
as far as
dig
plant
Years.
stock.
cycles.
And it's always like a kind of a baffling thing to me sometimes that like you will see a tree for sale for like $80 in a nursery, and that tree was started and has been grown for like 10 years. Like there was this 10-year butterfly effect of this thing growing in a pot that led to this
Mhm.
moment, and somehow it only accrued $80 worth of value. Anyway, but it does that's, you don't need to tell someone 10 years ahead that you need the plants, but in general, the lead times are even longer for a
Yeah.
lot of the nursery industry, and it's a whole other different way of thinking about everything. So maybe we'll figure out a way to get somebody on who could speak really
Mhm.
I
intelligently
worked
about
I
that.
worked some in the dig business. That was one of my first what I call real jobs, and I did some digging for a company, and we grew a lot. I say a lot for Kentucky. A few thousand shrubs and a few thousand trees up to a certain caliper, and those orders were placed 2 to 3 years in advance. If they were,
Mhm.
because we were a local order source and we were speculating ahead, but to lock in certain prices that we felt comfortable with on the dig side. But those orders, yeah, went in 18 to 24 months minimum. So we looked at them as dig cycles. So 2 to 3 dig cycles ahead. Those things were basically sold. Otherwise, on the nursery end, we couldn't make it work. You wanted, in fact, that's what we wanted. Everything sold 3 years out. So, yeah, it gets
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little tricky when you're dealing with local sources. Now we were a smaller operation, but we, had high quality, larger plants, and that was, and it depends on the model. But once again, people were always surprised when they would call and want 10 of this or 20 of that. And they're like, what do you mean you're already sold out? I'm like, well, we don't have any of
We're
those.
sold out for next year.
Yes, for next year, the next
Yeah.
cycle. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, and that's what I guess I was getting at for those local order sources.
Mhm.
If in doubt, just call early. Call early for some of these things,
Mhm.
especially these long-term things. These perennial plants that, like Brett said, my goodness, they go through several years of production before the final sales point.
Well,
So,
and you'll have
yeah.
people who are they're the stock growers, then you have the grafters who will then,
Yes,
and then
it's
you'll have
all
people who
different.
grow it on from there. Like there's this
A whole
industry that's
chain.
really,
Yeah.
really complex and very, very interesting, that
Hmm.
leads to you getting that boxwood or juniper or whatever
Yeah.
in your yard. And I think it's a obviously I'm interested in it, but I think it's a massively underappreciated industry, and like the way that impact it has on our lives, but also just how complex and efficient it can be. But anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole too
Well,
much.
now it's
Alexis,
tough because you don't know what's going to blow up on TikTok. Alexis, and you have both. I mean, you don't know what's going to blow up on the social media
yeah, some
platforms,
crazy
Yeah,
and
like
which
variegated
house
pine. It's like,
plants.
oh great, we'll respond in
yes,
5 years.
yes,
5 years
yeah.
from
Yeah.
now, we will
Yeah.
have a three-inch tree that you can put in your
Right.
backyard.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That is, and
Yeah,
people
it's
are,
huge,
they're
like
like,
the
oh,
dahlia
I want
world
that.
too. Like people
Yeah, is
will
it?
post these photos and it's like what you don't know is that was a random seedling. We don't know, like
Yeah.
it takes years to
We
make
have
sure that
no
it's
idea.
true to type. And so there's like at least 2 years of that.
Mhm.
And then you got to build up stock of it. And then you got to, like there's
It's a
so
rubber
much that
band
goes into it.
effect, and
Yeah.
as a grower, you hope that when you have all of that stock, that the trends have not moved on to something else.
Totally. That's what I was
Right.
gonna
Right.
say. It's
Yeah.
nobody really benefits from it because they don't have enough stock to even sell enough of it to make a bunch of money in the first place, unless you're going full
Mhm.
on tulip tulip mania vibes, and you can sell it for like, $1 million for one bulb or
Right.
something like they did back in the day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, Alexa, so
All right.
September.
So, yeah, September, I don't tend to do anything in September again because I'm usually in planting mode. So all those things I ordered, all those seeds I started, luckily I get a little break from my brain and I then get to put them in the ground for the most part. Has that been your all's experience in the veg world as well?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to put your garlic in. You're probably
Right.
starting to think of. We didn't mention cover crop seed, but ordering
Mm-hmm.
cover crop seed earlier in the summer,
Yeah.
if not even a little earlier, depending on if you have room to store it. But yeah, I think, and putting in your strawberries that you ordered in June.
Mhm,
July.
mhm.
You're
Yeah,
putting
it's kind
those
of
in
more
for.
planting mode,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily ordering mode. And then getting into October, if you're interested in doing any grafting of fruit trees, a lot of that stuff, I mean, I don't know if you can be early enough.
Rootstock goes so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So again, we're talking about rootstock and scion wood, which is the actual variety of apple or fruit, whatever that you want. You're not going to be doing that until March, usually February, March timeline. But ordering it, sometimes October can even be kind of late. But it's a lot of these places had set orders. So when I used to do it at the extension office, we just had a set order. They knew they were going to send me X amount of rootstock every year. And so sometimes that can be hard to beat. But some of these smaller nurseries don't necessarily do that. And they will, you can put in an order with them. They usually do have minimums. So working with a group to meet that minimum, unless you do want to graft 100 trees. I mean, some people do that. That's fine. But, have a friend or the extension office or the garden club or whatever who may maybe want to go in on an order with you. So thinking about that in October. And
I
then
think in general, when you decide, okay, here's some things that I'm thinking about doing in the next year or two, let people in your orbit know that you're thinking about doing those, so that when group orders, when collaborative purchasing becomes a possibility, or put it in people's heads that it is a possibility. There could be people who hadn't thought about doing fruit tree grafting, but because you took the lead and said, yeah, I'm going to be doing some, can we put together an
mhm.
order and all get a good deal, that they take interest and want to do that. I think that is a smart play in general. Just manifest. It's a way of manifesting your desires into the world in a way that might actually, come back to help
I
you.
love it. We're manifesting. It's end of the year.
That's
And
right.
then November is when I start ordering, usually before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is kind of like my timeline. I got to get it in before Thanksgiving. I'm going to be ordering plugs that will go in early spring. So things that I'm going to plant in about March. Or March April timeline. I'm going to order before Thanksgiving.
And that includes what?
For me, that's Lysianthus because they take so long to grow, and I do not want to grow them myself. So Lysianthus is the big one that I make sure to do. Some of the others I might wait a little longer, but
Yeah, it's
that's a
like
big one.
some of your cooler seasoned vegetable stuff. If you want to do
Yeah,
cabbage or broccoli or whatever
yeah,
transplants, and you're wanting somebody to grow them for you, and you want them to grow a specific variety, thinking about this is gets back to Ray's comment about having that conversation early and making sure, and even having the conversation before you're going to order it, to make sure that they're not going to say, what, we can't do that, when
yeah.
you then talk to them. But you're ordering from a place that specifically is set up to sell plugs,
Right. They
right?
only grow plugs. Yes.
You
Yeah.
didn't have to like navigate that, like, I
Yeah.
want you, they're
The
telling you
No,
we're
middleman.
they're a
growing
big like
this. Yeah,
national seller of
I gotcha.
plugs. That's what they do. So they have a list of things, and I order from their list. Um,
And
is what it's
that
like.
pretty
And
much
then
brings us all the way around the calendar to almost now. And was there something else you
no,
were gonna?
When are you
no, I
supposed to
was gonna
catch
say,
a
and then
break for all
December.
this stuff? I thought we were taking a break around Christmas, Alexis. Doesn't sound like there's a lot of break time in there.
I mean, December and January
A
is
little break
dreaming
in
months.
there.
They're
Okay.
they're dream months, is what I like to call them. December, it's like I let go of all the things that didn't work, and I think about all the things I'm gonna do. And you get a clean, fresh slate every year, as long as you didn't get neopest in your in your
Mhm.
strawberry
Mhm.
field, because that stuff will stay. And so you get a fresh slate. I think that's the best part about like farming and gardening is that like there's this whole new clean slate to start over with, at least for the most part. And that is so exciting. So
And,
December,
well,
we
and
let
that
things go. January, we plan for success.
I think also that, I mean, that goes for your successes and your failures. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what, whether you would like that season to have gone on forever, and this was the best you've ever done with X, Y, or Z, you still have to
Start
start the
over.
cycle all over again.
Hope for
And
the
that's where
best.
some of those best practices and having your timelines lined up for when you're going to order stuff, so you don't forget and you get the best deals and all that kind of stuff comes in, where you're like, okay, great. I can't take my success from last year forward, but I can do things better to set myself up for success this year. I think it's, yeah, both
Yeah,
successes
it's a
and failures are in the past now.
It's a snowball that just doesn't stop. Like once you get started on the cycle starts to make sense, and then you just let it keep going. You just
It's like a
roll with
rhythm.
it, and then there's a rhythm to the madness, and it feels a lot less daunting after you've done it one or two times. So hang in there if you're scared.
This conversation makes me want to do a similar like propagation calendar through the year.
Yeah, I love
You know, like
propagation.
grafting and cuttings, hardwood cuttings, softwood cuttings, all that kind of fun stuff. It
Mhm.
could be a cool
I
little
love it.
chat.
Love
Awesome.
it. Well,
Well,
cool.
so
Well,
get out there and order your seeds.
yeah,
Go
go order
now,
your seeds.
sooner rather than
Um,
later.
we'll maybe I can make up some sort of easy graphic to throw up on our Instagram at Hort Culture Podcast with these reminders, because you may inevitably be somewhere where you're not writing things down, as I am when I'm usually listening to podcasts. So I'll see what I can do about working up a graphic. If you go follow us at Hort Culture Podcast on Instagram, that would be great. If you've got questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out on our email that's in the show notes. But we thank you for being here. You'll hear some different episodes as we, manage the holiday season and kind of a slower time for all of us, being with family. So we'll still have episodes out for you. They just may be a little bit different with only a couple of us, or be bopping around here and there. So we hope you enjoy those, and we hope you enjoy this winter season. But thanks for being here with us, and we hope you will join us next time. See ya.